Good afternoon. Hi. I hope you can see me. I never know. It's always a challenge with technology with me every single time. Hi. I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I like to talk about the ketogenic diet and how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting it, and how you might be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your lives. So far, I think I'm talking to myself, so I'm just going to continue to do that. I do that a lot anyway, even when I'm not on camera. Today's topic, and I just did this a little while ago on Facebook Live, so it's essentially the same topic. So you might want to pass on by if you don't want to hear it. Oh, lovely. Here's some folks popping in. Let me just say a quick hello to Dore Esparza. Oh, I'm so glad finally able to be live with you. Hi, Susie, Carmen. This is lovely. Thank you so much for people popping in. And I'm glad. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. Like I said, always a challenge. So today's topic is something, it was actually, it's a lot of comments that I've heard or messages I've received, and also from my own past experience. For those of you who don't know, I was heavy, really heavy, 97.4 pounds, actually about 115 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I'm 5'1", so that's a lot of weight for every inch of vertical height. And I was for 30 years. And we delude ourselves a lot. I know I did. It's, from my perspective, from my experience, it's difficult to get that out of whack as far as weight and feeling well. I didn't feel well. You know, many people are comfortable in their large bodies. I was not one of them. I think it's fantastic. You know, what's it? What, healthy at any weight, healthy at any size, however that goes. I didn't feel well. I wasn't happy mentally, emotionally. I didn't feel well physically. So if I was doing something that made me feel unwell, why did I keep doing it? Because I was not honest with myself, in truth. But let's pull this back into the ketogenic diet for a quick little thing. The ketogenic diet, if you don't know, is where you reduce your carbohydrate intake to a level where your liver is not pumping out glucose or sugar for fuel, after which it happily turns to burning ketones or fat for fuel. That's what it is. A pretty much across the board will probably work for anyone. Type of level for that is 20 total grams of carbohydrate a day, not net. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. Wake me up, Jojo. I love that name. Wake me up, Jojo. Thank you so much. 20 total grams of carbohydrate a day or fewer, so you can go lower. Eat fatty sources of protein, which just means eat your pork, beef, poultry, lamb, goat, alligator, whatever you're eating, with the fat that comes with it naturally. Eat the ribeye with the steak, the poultry with the skin, the eggs with the yolks, full fat dairy if you can tolerate it. Not unlimited now, mind you. So eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satisfied. Stop when you're satiated. That's what the protocol is. It's very straightforward. It sounds like it could not possibly be that simple, which is a lot of reasons that we try to make it more complicated, because it can't be that simple. Really? You mean it's always been that simple? And I've been trying to choke down rice cakes and skim milk for all these years and going to the gym 5 days a week? Yeah, it really is that simple. So, but here's the kind of questions or observations I'll get. Oh, and Susie writes buffering. Sorry. Oh, thank you. Wake me up, Jojo. You're welcome. You do so much for me and others. Hope you have a great weekend. I have so far. Is anyone else having buffering? I don't know whether my settings need to be changed for YouTube, and I apologize if that's the case. I'm my own tech person, so it's all on me, and I screw it up. Okay, I do want to answer a question. I believe you said you've had a couple of bouts of cancer. Were you doing the keto diet at the time? If not, do you think it would have helped at the time? Sheila, thank you very much, Sheila. Actually, 3 diagnoses and treatments for cancer over the last, from the time I was about 30 up until, I don't remember how old I was, 51. I was not doing the ketogenic diet. I wish I knew then what I know now. I actually have a brother who passed from a glioblastoma astrocytoma multiform brain tumor. I wish I knew then what I know now so I could suggest to him at least that he'd try it, because they're always fatal. Anyway, I feel like I have a suit of armor on as far as that goes. Now, I really don't worry about cancer. For those of you who don't know, this is not even a new idea. It's called the Warburg effect. The idea that some cancer cells thrive on glucose. Now, it's not a blanket statement for every cancer cell and for all of glucose, but that if you choke some cancer cells of glucose, they don't thrive. So there's that. Okay, back to my original topic. So, diluting yourself. I will get comments and questions and statements. People are struggling and they say, I don't know what else to do. It's not effective for me. I'm doing everything as I should. I only have an occasional carby meal, and I keep my carbs to 50 grams a day or fewer, and I'm doing the bulletproof coffee, and I'm eating the fat bombs, and I'm getting in my 200 grams of fat a day. Well, none of those things are part of the protocol. The occasional carby meal, no. If it works for you, great. But if you preface your conversation by saying it's not working for me, then I'm not referencing you right now. If it works for you, awesome. But if it's not working and you're eating the occasional carby meal, not part of the protocol, because then Sisyphus was a mythical person who had to roll a boulder up a hill every day. His goal was to get the boulder to the top of the hill. And he would get nearly there and he'd stumble, and the boulder would roll back down the hill in 10 seconds. And so he had to start pushing that boulder back up the hill. It would take all day. That's kind of like reducing your carbs and starting to burn ketones for fuel. And you're doing great. And then you eat one carby meal, takes 10 seconds, and you're back to burning glucose. You got to do the whole thing again. And it's not 50 grams of carbohydrate a day. And it's not 20 net carbs. And it's not fat bombs, and it's not bulletproof coffee, and it's not MCT oil, and it's not 200 grams of fat. It's 20 grams of total carbohydrate a day or fewer. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. So we have to be honest with ourselves, because there are people who struggle and truly do want to change. They want to either lose weight and or feel better and or get off medications and or stave off type 2 diabetes. But we have to be honest with ourselves. If you say in one breath, I really, really, really want to start burning fat for fuel, so I will, and I'll just have the occasional candy bar or the occasional fast food meal with the French fries, or I'll just have carbs at holidays. That's fine. Do it if you wish. But hear what you're saying. It is like saying, I really, really want a faithful, monogamous relationship, and I will. I'll just occasionally sleep with other people. Let's be honest. It's not really a monogamous relationship. We need to be honest. It's not fun. It's much easier to delude ourselves into thinking, well, it just doesn't work for me. If this can work for me, it can work for anybody. If I can do this, you can do this. No kidding. No kidding. I don't have a way that I know of to share a screen right now to show you my before photos. Not even the actual befores, because those didn't exist, because if there were photos of me at my heaviest, they got burned. And then the ashes got sent down the garbage disposal. And then I replaced the garbage disposal. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying. But if you go to my blog, KCDurango.com, look under resources, you'll see before photos. If I can do this, and I was heavy for 30 years, and I had given up trying to lose weight. I had just gotten to the point where I didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes, which I knew was in my future. That was it. That's all I wanted. This is what you do. If you don't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes, keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein and don't eat if you're not hungry. Nothing works better. Nothing works better. If you are currently on medications for type 2 diabetes, you must do this under a doctor's supervision, because guess why? Your blood sugar could drop precipitously in a day or two. It could go so low you become hypoglycemic. So don't do this without a doctor's supervision if you're currently on medications. Alrighty? So be honest. Let's just be honest with ourselves. No fun at all. You know, it's the equivalent of going bathing suit shopping with three-way mirrors under fluorescent lights. I mean, that's the truth. That's the way we look. Ugh. But if you're going to step out in a bathing suit, you need to know how you look. If you want to know how you look. That's the way it goes. If you want a monogamous relationship, you can't sleep with other people. If it works for you, go for it. But I wonder if it will. Okie dokie. Hey, Michelle Dalton, I think I recognize you. I believe that you're a patron. Are you not, my friend? And I want to thank patrons who are here, who have allowed me to give up my day job of 30 years and do this. So thank you. I'm going to give a plug for patreon.com, where I do about 20 videos a month, short little ones. And then for $2 a month, you get access to those in a patron-only forum. And as the pledges go up, you get access to more stuff, private live streams and private video group chats and one-on-ones with me. Okay. Hey, Nancy Hansen. I remember you. Say you haven't been here in a while. Charlotte Tyrus. Hi. Type 1s can do this too. Yes. Type 1 diabetics, for those of you who don't know, type 1, or have been called juvenile diabetics, are those people whose pancreas simply does not produce insulin. So they have too little insulin in their bodies. Type 2 diabetics, their pancreas, which is where the insulin emanates, they have it and they've got insulin, but over time, and sometimes it's less time, sometimes it's more time, our bodies have become resistant to that insulin. And so whereas the insulin used to be able to regulate the blood glucose, the blood sugar, now the body's resistant to it, so the blood sugar goes up. This can be the cure for type 2 diabetes, meaning you could go do this. I've been doing this for 5 years. My blood sugar is like on average 66. My A1C 4.5, something wonderfully low like that. So for 5 years, if you don't have a symptom of a disease for 5 years, you're cured. I believe that's the medical standard. Type 1 diabetics, it can help manage type 1 diabetes. Again, it's a very serious condition. You must do this under a doctor's supervision. If you have a type 1, if you are a type 1 diabetic or loved one, go to a Facebook page called Type 1 Grit, TYPEONE Grit. Those are very two different situations, but both can be enhanced. Hey, Bethany, another patron, just joining in. Joanne writes, taste buds have changed. Don't like sugar. People find this very difficult to believe. I was privileged to give a talk yesterday, a presentation in Dallas, Texas. Large group, mostly male, which is not my usual audience. And most of the people were unfamiliar with the ketogenic diet. So I was telling about it and just trying to explain how it works. And many people say, well, that's good for you. Fine for you. You did it. But I am addicted to whatever it might be. I'm addicted to chips. I'm addicted to pasta. I'm addicted to bread. I'm addicted to chocolate. I'm addicted to candy. We all are. That's the thing. Because we're all addicted to carbs, because it's an evolutionary thing. I won't go into my explanation of it now. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a researcher. I happen to be a well-educated, highly motivated, former fatty who I have spent the last 5 years delving into this, and I'm trying to spread the word about it. So a gentleman came up to me afterwards, and he said, do you really think? Oh, and so I had gone on to say, we're all addicted. I said, but actually, once you spend not even that much time, a week, 2 weeks, 10 days, a month, not eating those foods to which you believe you are addicted, which is too strong a word in my opinion, you not only get to the point where you're not thinking about them, you get to the point where you don't even want them. My big thing was, I said, well, fine, that would be fine, but there's no way. I can't go without tortilla chips. I cannot go without tortilla chips. And I couldn't until I did. And now I would have no more interest than eating a basket of gravel presented in front of me than eating a basket of tortilla chips. It is an amazing thing. So anyway, this fellow walked up to me. He said, I don't know. I think I'm addicted to sugar. I said, sir, we really all are. It's the way we're wired. And I told him about a friend of mine, who she said, I don't think I can, because she kept a big fishbowl of Hershey's Kisses on her kitchen counter. And every time she walked through the room, she grabbed some Hershey's Kisses and ate them. Every time she walked through the room. She said, I'm habituated. I can't not do it. So, well, this may not be the thing for you, but I think you can do it. About a month later, she said, you're not going to believe this. The fishbowl is gone. I don't even want the Hershey's Kisses. And the thought of them kind of give me a headache. So I said, sir, she kept Hershey's Kisses in her kitchen. And he kind of looked sheepish. And he chuckled. And he said, well, I'm worse than that. And he reaches his hand in his pocket and brings out a handful of peppermint pinwheels. He said, they're never far from me. I said, but you can do this. I promise you can do this. I promise. I have not had a tortilla chip in 5 years. We used to buy the abuelita tortilla chips from Costco, huge bags, 5 at a time. And we would simply murder tortilla chips. Okay, Michelle, I'm not sure. What were you saying? Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm not sure what that was. We're trying to keep the stream clean. Love the greatest, Casey Durango. Thank you, Marlon. That's very, very nice. I'm a nurse, and you do a great job of teaching keto. Thank you. Can I tell you that even in Patreon, but on a lot of people with whom I speak are nurses, and I think nurses, man, they've got it rough on many levels. For one thing, we know that the nurses do the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively, in the medical care world. Very often, the nurses know what's what before the doctors do. Nurses work long shifts. They're surrounded by bad food. They're tired, high stress, high emotion jobs. And they're some of the people that struggle the worst because it's difficult. So thank you. That's high praise. That's very high praise. Thank you. Hey, Bethany. I'm a former fatty too. My neighbor said I look so little at Thanksgiving. Isn't that nice? When someone, the first time someone says they didn't recognize you, I'm going to tell you. I walked into a house. My brother didn't recognize me. I hadn't seen him a little bit. He didn't recognize me. He actually acknowledged me, thought I was just another person come. Hey, how you doing? He goes around to talk to the other people in the foyer. Then he went like this. Casey? He did not recognize me. Loved it. I love it when people don't recognize me. Now they do. I've been this for a long time. Christina J., please give your thoughts on keto with thyroid disease. I've heard I'm not supposed to do it. Okay, when I was in Dallas yesterday, I was speaking to the concierge about the ketogenic diet, and a woman standing behind, waiting for the elevator, I was waiting for the elevator as well, said, oh my gosh, I've just started keto. She says, I was just diagnosed with thyroid disease. To my understanding, there is no medical condition for which the ketogenic diet is contraindicated. Hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, no thyroid, Hashimoto's thyroid disease, no gallbladder, hysterectomy, postmenopausal, premenopausal, perimenopausal. One of my patrons, bless her, was diagnosed with cancer of the kidney. She'd been doing the protocol for about 1.5 years. She was concerned that she'd caused it with the diet. Her doctor said, oh, no, au contraire. You probably inhibited the growth of it. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. So she's now got 1 kidney. Okay? I'm not a medical doctor. We are all in charge of our own medical care. Do what works for you. But to my understanding, there is no reason to not do this for a condition like that. Casey, do you also do, I don't even like to say those words. No, I don't. Here's the protocol. 20 grams of carb a day, 20 grams of carbs a day total, not net, or fewer. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. Y'all do what you want to do. I'm not a proponent of that particular thing. Dolika. I preach keto to anyone I see suffering. I've lost 56 pounds doing this, and you were my first teacher. What a privilege. Thank you. Shell F writes, Barb, you can either burn fat from your plate or from the body. I don't know what that is in response to, but that's absolutely true. Keep in mind, this protocol is a fat burning protocol. It is not a weight loss protocol. Okay? Hear it again. It is when you reduce your carbohydrate intake to where you stop burning fat for fuel, sugar for fuel, and start burning fat for fuel. Fat for fuel. If you are consuming all the fat that your body requires for its energy expenditure, then it doesn't need to tap onto your onboard reserves. No part of the protocol calls for 200 grams of dietary fat a day. That is not how this works. It's not the presence of the fat that works. It's the absence of the carbs. No part of the protocol calls for a pie chart. I call it the M word. I don't use it. No part of the protocol calls for MCT oil or exogenous ketones, which I'm going to just be really frank with you. That's just a multi-level marketing scheme. There is some research that exogenous ketones, meaning taking the ketones from outside the body, as opposed to endogenous, that's all exogenous means. For therapeutic uses, that means for neurological disorders, Parkinson's, perhaps Alzheimer's, other things like this. But that's just, it's still experimental. They're still doing research. If you want to lose body fat, keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. If you want to see the food list I followed, it's at my blog, CaseyDurango.com. You can download it. It's one page, but make your own food list. You don't need a list. It's fatty sources of protein. It's meat with the fat, poultry with the fat, eggs with the yolk, full fat dairy, not unlimited. But if you just don't eat if you're not hungry, it's going to self-regulate. We have to listen to our bodies, and we have to be honest with ourselves. If we're still eating, if we're not hungry, we're not being honest with ourselves. Our bodies will tell us what to do. Our bodies won't lie to us. Sometimes we just ignore it. Sometimes our body tells us something and we say, talk to the hand. I don't want to know the truth. Chrissy L. just recruited another couple to try keto. They said they've been watching me for the past 2 years, and I'm still with it. The best advertisement, I think, is just show how easy it is to do. Absolutely. I don't try to convince anyone. Never have. If I'm asked about it, I explain. I come in and do this to share my experience for those who might be able to identify with it. But let's face it, this protocol is the opposite of what we've been taught all of our lives, and possibly what our parents were taught. So it's the bizarro diet. It's the opposite. And it can be so counterintuitive for some folks that they really, and it's been called a fad. And, of course, there's a lot of influences out there that don't want this to succeed for obvious reasons. Grain producers don't want this to succeed. Do we know why? Yes, we do. Hey, Christina, thank you. Chrissy L., and I eat out with hubby a lot. And yes, I drink wine and vodka and seltzer. Yes, I did. I just traveled for the last 2 days. I had no problem eating on the road. All you do is leave off the carbs. Unless you're going to a restaurant that only serves bread, that's not a restaurant, it's called a bakery. There's always something. Perfect choice for many people is a Cobb salad. It's greens, some avocado, boiled egg. It can be chicken, ham. What else might be on there? Bacon. Get blue cheese dressing. Have at it. Beth Wade writes, the hardest thing is realizing that you don't eat if you're not hungry. We're so trained to 3 meals a day. You're absolutely correct, Beth. It was the hardest part for me. I actually have magnets at my blog that you can get on the swag thing. And it's a picture of a refrigerator. And above it says, are you here out of hunger or out of habit? And below it says, if hunger is not the problem, food is not the answer. That really is the hardest thing, because we just eat because it's breakfast time, because it's lunchtime, because it's dinner time. It is such a victory when you get to 3:30 p.m. and you realize you haven't eaten all day and you haven't thought about eating all day. And I'll be getting some more t-shirts in that say what? Food is not the boss of me. Thank you, Chelsea. Sheila D., the protocol is so straightforward. Thanks for sharing it so succinctly. I love that word, succinctly. It's not the presence of fat, but the absence of carbs. That's the part that makes a difference. It is, because there are those people that will just tell you, you must get in the fat. No, you don't get in fat. How many times have I been asked, my app tells me that I have to be eating this much. I'm at the end of the day, I'm just not hungry, but I'm supposed to get in 30 more grams of fat. How do I do that? Don't do that. Don't let an app tell you what to eat. MyFitnessPal was convinced at the end of every day that I would be dead by dawn. Don't let an app tell you what to eat. Don't let anyone tell you what to eat. Don't let me tell you what to eat. Don't eat what I eat. Listen to your body. Keep your carbs low, which means zero. You can go 0 carbs if you want. Many people do. There's a growing carnivore movement. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. What is that? It's about 1 cup of non-starchy vegetables and about 2 cups of leafy greens maximum. There are no minimum requirements for vegetables. That is another thing you will hear. There are no minimum. Carbohydrate, which is vegetables for the most part, are not an essential nutrient. Means you don't have to eat any carbs. You do need to consume fat and protein, because those are essential nutrients, because our bodies cannot produce the amino acids that come from those foods. Our bodies can produce the glucose required that we would get from carbs on its own. And by the way, fiber is a carbohydrate. Guess what? Fiber is not essential. So there. Shell F writes, the best thing is deleting MyFitnessPal. Freedom! All it does is create this weird eating disorder. I cannot disagree with you. Lisa Irk writes, no one comments when we eat when we are not hungry, yet when we don't eat because we aren't hungry, they're the things we're starving ourselves. Not so, especially if we have fat to burn off. Correct. Yeah. How did this get to be? We had a conversation on Patreon the other day. So you're eating and someone says, is that all you're going to eat? Now, first of all, none of your business, but we don't want to be rude. So I suggest if people say, ask you, is that all you're going to eat? Answer a question with a question and say, why do you ask? And make them tell you why it's their business and why they care how little you're eating. Did they ever ask when you were at the golden trough at the buffet for the third plate, are you going to eat all of that? We've come to the point where these mega portions have become normal, but what is actually a normal portion for a human consumption becomes freakish. Job well done, food manufacturers. You did it. Chelsea writes, only eat when hungry. Have to repeat that to myself each day. Smart women, listen. Thank you. Ahmed Ray writes, hello, guys. What is my opinion on the carnivore diet? I think there's no reason not to follow the carnivore diet. I will go for days without eating vegetables. Not because I'm anti-vegetable. It's not a philosophical thing. Some days I just don't eat that much food in general. If I'm not that hungry, I don't eat that much. So if I'm not eating that much, I'm not going to forego my nice fatty proteins for broccoli. I'm going to eat my fatty proteins. And if I'm satisfied, I'm done. But the carnivore diet, like I said, carbohydrate, which is, it's not a one-to-one thing, but essentially vegetables or grains or fruit or sugar. I mean, all those are carbs. If it's not a fat or a protein, essentially it's a carbohydrate. Since it's not essential, what's the harm? Dr. Georgia Ede, I highly recommend you listen and read her work. Is a carnivore, and she's doing it because of food sensitivities and everything else. I'm absolutely have no problem with it. Not getting enough energy to exercise on keto. Any advice? Arupta Dasgupta. I would say if you are lacking energy, make sure that you're getting enough sodium. Many people will equate the lack of energy or so-called keto flu with, oh, I better up my carbs. More often, it is magnesium deficiency or sodium deficiency. So if you don't have sodium-sensitive hypertension, then try to get in about 5 grams of sodium a day. For reference on that, check out Dr. Stephen Phinney. Many of his lectures and writings will talk about the sodium situation. Sodium is the queen of the electrolytes of the minerals, and because this diet will tend to flush water through the kidneys efficiently, with the water goes the sodium, with the sodium go the other electrolyte charged minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and that can deplete your blood volume, and you can feel lethargic. So, resources I would recommend: Dr. Stephen Phinney, Dr. Jeff Folick, Dr. Eric Westman, Dr. Georgia Ede, and as a wonderful writer and a person who studies research and analyses, Zoe Harcombe, PhD, Harcombe. Funny. She's got a website. It's very funny and very informative. Lisa Irk writes, number one way I break my stalls, check that I'm only eating for true hunger signals. There's a woman in Patreon. She had kind of hovered. We don't call it a stall. We call it a hover. We try to use positive words. She had hovered for a while. And then she said, oh my God, new low. New low. And then she had like a series of lows, like 11 in 15 days. What did you do differently? She says, I realized I was eating when I wasn't hungry. I'm just not eating as much food. We realize how little food we need. Charlotte Dixon, 7 months here, find myself moving away from veggies. So weird how this works. Ever changing. First time in 6 years I've actually listened to my body. It seems to know what it's talking about. No kidding, right? Our body, here's my metaphor. No, analogy, metaphor. Our bodies talk to us. We often ignore what our bodies are saying. And so our bodies talk louder and we ignore it. So that might be a twinge here. That's it talking louder. Twinge there. Your blood glucose might inch up. That's talking louder. Your blood pressure may go up, talking louder. You may put on some weight, talking louder. You keep ignoring. Ultimately, you've got high blood pressure, high blood sugar, you're type 2 diabetic, and you're overweight. Your body is now screaming at you. Okay? Listen to your body. It won't lie to you. Speaking of which, shameless plug here. Got 2019 Go Keto with KC calendars coming out. That's one of the months it says, listen to your body. It won't lie to you. Nancy writes, my doctor has been on this and has taken patients off of insulin. This is what's happening. Patients are impacting the medical providers. It's percolating from the ground up. I know nothing right. 6 days on the true keto, very tired. Any advice? Loving this change otherwise. Yes, as I just said, if you're very tired and you do not have sodium sensitive hypertension, try upping your sodium intake, not salt intake, sodium intake to about 5 grams a day total, including whatever food you're eating. And that can be as simple as a bouillon cube, which is high in sodium. The sodium the sodium helps retain magnesium and potassium and also increase blood volume. Michelle writes, why do people put oil in coffee? I don't understand fat bombs. Because it's a gimmick. I'm sorry, that's too harsh a word. Because that's something to sell. And maybe some people like it. If it works for you, great. I wouldn't do it. I got somebody sent me a sample of something and I tried it, and plus I'd rather eat my fat. I love ribeye fat and bacon and drippy. Oh, it's so good. Plus, it's very calorically dense. If you put MCT oil and coconut oil and butter and coffee, it's very calorically dense. Ultimately, fuel matters against energy. I don't like to use the word calories because it's very charged. But ultimately, it does matter. If you are taking in a whole lot more fuel than you need, then it's a problem. The difference here is if you follow the program correctly, you won't take in more fuel than you need because you listen to your body, because you only would eat when you're actually hungry. So you reduce your fuel intake and your appetite is suppressed. You can white knuckle your way through eating, 1,200 calories and going to the gym 6 days a week and lose weight. You can do it. But if you're thinking about food all the time and you're hangry all the time, that's different than eating good food that nourishes and satisfies us and then moving on with the rest of your day and not thinking about food. Food is not the boss in me. I know nothing rights. Thank you very much. You are welcome. Nancy Hansen, the book is The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living. I highly recommend it if you really only need to read that book. All the others repeat the information, but that is really good, by Drs. Stephen Finney and Jeff Bolick. I refer to mine often. If you go to my blog, I've got a tacky affiliate link. You can find it on Amazon. Lisa Irk writes, I love keto because I don't need special products or costly supplements. I just eat real food. You know what? There's not one. Thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. There are those that will happily sell you supplements and bars and powders and pills and shakes and kits. Because guess what? Because they're selling you something, because they make money. I have no problem with people making money, but not for this. This is too intrinsic, to the emotional, mental, and physical well-being of too many people who have suffered at the hands of bad advice previously. It's time to get rid of that crud. There is not one product or item you need to purchase in order to be 100% successful. Not even a Go Keto with Casey calendar do you need. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Bingo. That's it. It's not what you do buy, it's what you don't buy. You don't buy the potatoes or the rice or the chips. You don't buy the cookies or the candies. You don't buy the sodas. You don't buy the tortillas. Even if they call them low carb, don't fall for that. If it works for you, do it. If you're struggling, be honest with yourself and look at what you're doing. There you go. And don't, in my opinion, don't try to make fake baked versions of the food that got you there in the first place. Someone like my husband can tolerate my homemade almond cookies because he can. I can't. But he went from eating 3 slices of pound cake a night with coffee to 2 almond cookies a night. He never had a weight issue. He never really had a health issue. He's doing this because he thinks overall his long-term health is improved. So he's been doing it for 4 years, and he's Colombian. We would buy rice 50 pounds at a time, beans 25 pounds at a time, yuca, tortilla chips, potatoes, pound cake. Eating only when hungry means consuming less food. Well, I messed it. It moved. Stephanie, do you use a total carb app? That's easy. I don't need an app. You know, you can go to the USDA database and find the carbs, but essentially it's about a cup of non-starchy vegetables a day maximum and about 2 cups of leafy greens maximum a day. What's a non-starchy vegetable? As a rule, not 100%, vegetables that grow above the ground. Vegetables that grow below the ground, carrots, beets, potatoes of any color, they're starchy vegetables. The reason they're starchy is they're below the ground. They're building up starch, which is sugar, to provide energy for the greens, which are above the ground. So you can eat the turnip greens, leave off the turnip. Keep in mind, even though corn grows above the ground, it's not a vegetable. It's a grass, actually. Wheat, not a vegetable. It's a grass. So imagine going out and chewing on your front lawn, your overgrown front lawn when it's, set the seeds. Diet products are designed to fail. They put you on blaming yourself and a repeat customer. Absolutely. 100%. I believe it. Oh, wow. Charlotte writes, it screamed at me 18 months ago. Heart attack. Figured I better listen. There you go. That's a scream. Rose Huff. Hey, Rose. Hi, Casey. Keto gets easier as you go on. You can say no and mean it. Absolutely. It's not even a struggle. It's not even a question for me anymore. Someone could come up and ask me if I would like a glass of diesel fuel. No. It's not that I'm resisting the diesel fuel going down my gullet. No, don't want it. Don't need it. Judy Tucker, our food bill has dropped so low. Ours did too. It's now kind of balanced out because we've been doing it for so long. But yeah, it dropped a lot. Sharon Sterling, thank you so much for your comments on pro. First listening to a popular chiropractor. I'm going to leave that be. Gimmick is the perfect word. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, some people want to make this really complicated when they're talking to you because then they can sell you something to make it simple. This is why I have Patreon. I'm not going to sell anything. I'm not any saint. Shoot, I was in real estate for 30 years. If all I wanted to do was make easy money, I would have stayed in real estate. This was so life-changing for me. And I was so frustrated for a while at realizing that the information was always there. And I could have saved my life, my relationships, and my actions in my life so much internal struggle and sadness. I can't see trying to sell somebody something when it's not necessary. If you want, you can see my Instagram feed to see what I eat. I don't post every day. I mean, who needs to see that every day? It's just food. The answer is food. It's just food. It's just food. Actual food. Not pulverized food, not prepackaged food, not special food. It's food. I get a little upset sometimes. Okay, I'm going to start to wind this up. I've been talking a lot today. Hello from Canada. I want to thank you for the super chat. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. Okay, here's a question. Only his presence, OHP. Hi, Casey. Question, any thought on leg cramps deficiency issues? Okay. Most often, leg cramps, and they'll usually come at night, can reflect a magnesium deficiency. Potassium deficiencies are less common. Magnesium is not uncommon, magnesium deficiency. The most straightforward way of approaching that is to up your sodium. If you increase your sodium to about 5 grams a day, if you don't have sodium-sensitive hypertension, it'll help regulate magnesium, potassium, calcium. If that's not cutting it, now some people just say take a quick swig of pickle juice or yellow mustard, believe it or not. Like when you're having the cramp, I know one woman, she keeps little packets of yellow mustard by her bedside. She eats that, like cramp gone. I have not experienced that. But otherwise, I take 3 slow-release magnesium. The generic is Mag 64. If you, again, affiliate link, if you go to my blog, you'll see I bought 5 packs from Amazon, 3 a day. That usually will do it. Another way, soaking in an Epsom salt bath, because that has minerals, magnesium in it, and our skin is our largest organ. And in that warm bath, it's very relaxing. It absorbs the magnesium in a very gentle way. You can try milk of magnesia. So that is often an easy. Okay. Don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I think I just showed something I shouldn't have shown. Sodium deficiency, drink pickle juice. It can be. Need a pickle at night. It works. And I take magnesium every day as well. Yeah, they're really simple, cheap fixes. You don't have to be fancy. You don't have to buy special electrolyte water or anything. I mean, come on, pickle juice, yellow mustard, Epsom salt baths. Oh, thank you, Laura. I don't know that I'm so freaking awesome, but I appreciate it. I have back pain and stenosis. I follow keto for 2 months. Do you think keto lifestyle is effective for arthritis? Okay, stenosis is pretty serious, okay? The ketogenic diet has proven itself to be pretty effective on general inflammation. And some people with my inflammation, I had sore hands and kind of around here and lower back pain, but it was inflammation. Stenosis, I think, is more mechanical. So I don't know about that. And as far as rheumatoid arthritis, I can't speak to that. That may be a little bit beyond the pale for just keto. It's not going to hurt, that's for sure. And if you lose some weight, if you have weight to lose, that may help just from the weight bearing. Thank you. Thank God for slow mag. Yeah. Drink vodka and you'll be fine. Thanks, Max. Okay, Michelle F. writes, I also have arthritis. It helps so much. I couldn't walk for a time. I was only 37. Wow. Oh, Colleen, congratulations. 30 years of struggle, 41 pounds down. I'm excited for the future. That's another change. You go from, well, I know I could probably live for another 30 years. I just don't know that I want to now, I wonder what's going to happen next. I'm actually confused about what's going to happen next with me. I'm at a crossroads. Judy Tucker writes, it helps my knee pain. No shots. Shell F writes, I'm walking now. It works. That's just great. Okay, guys, thank you very much. This was a long one, went longer than I intended. I appreciate you allowing me to pop in. I will try to continue these as allows, schedule-wise. And please, again, I want to provide free content. Patreon patrons allow me to take the time to do this and do other things. So if you check out patreon.com/GoKeto with Casey, you can find out links to it. I'll try to put it below this video, but at my blog and everything else. Oh, by the way, I am no longer accepting memberships at this time for the Keto After 40 with Casey Facebook group. I'm just closing that down. It's too much right now. We've got 40,000 plus members. I'm just going to let it whittle down. So no more of that. But you can still check me at Go Keto with Casey, my Facebook page, my blog, and here in Patreon. And my Insta, all that stuff, if you want to see it. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you for the super chat earlier. That means a lot to me. Remember, if you ask a super chat, put a question in there because it pins it to the top so I can get to the question without it passing by. All righty then. God willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll see you next week. Be sweet. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer. Fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not